project facilitator for Learn and for this KidsCode program. I just wanted to do a quick recap of what we already did for the month of January. So for the month of January, we had to program the robot to go through an EV3 maze. So that's what students had to do, and they were using 3 different mode selectors: on for rotations, on for degrees, and on for seconds. And students had to do this as fast as they could with the robot. So I believe I just saw a recording from Maria's site, and a student had done it perfectly. It stopped at that black line, exactly what I wanted. So whenever you guys have a chance to send more of those videos so I could see your guys' progress, because as you all know, this is all virtual. So it would be great to see everyone's progress and see where everyone's at with that. If for some reason your students weren't able to do all 3 mode selectors, or they're not at the pace that they're supposed to be at, then they could just do 2 mode selectors. That's fine. So they could catch up for this training, which we're about to do. And for the month of February now, that's what I'm going to be talking about right now, is we're going to be doing something totally new, which is which you guys should have started last week, which is the EV3 Cup challenge. So you're programming the robot to push cups out of the EV3 robot. So, and you're using the 3 mode selectors as well. You're using on for seconds, on for rotations, and on for degrees. So something new that we'll be learning is we'll be having the robot go backwards, and then we'll also be learning something new that I also wanted to just bring up, but we won't be utilizing it as much, is the sound block. So what I like to do is I like to add a sound block on my end of the code. So hey, it's done. So they kind of get to see what that does, and also a wait block. A wait block will be needed in the month of April. I just want you guys to kind of already have an understanding of what the wait block does. And we already kind of know what it already does. If you learn Scratch, we know that the wait block, it has it wait for a certain amount of seconds. And it's not something big that it does, but it's cool to understand what the concept is now, so they can kind of have an understanding for it later on. So I will be going through the Cup Challenge rules, and then I'll be showing you all my robot programmed to do this Cup Challenge. And then once I'm done with that, we will actually be going through the Cup Challenge together. So just to the one of the EV3 maze. And I think this is the best way of doing it, me showing you guys, and then you guys kind of seeing what code blocks need to be next for this challenge itself. So just to go over the Cup Challenge rules real quick. So number 1, the fastest time to push out to 6 cups with their EV3 robot is one way of winning the challenge, or how many cups you could push out versus your opponent. So we'll just say Jimmy did it in 10 seconds, and then Layla did it in 9 seconds, so Layla would be winning. Or another way of winning is someone pushing out more cups than the other person. The cups must be pushed out completely out of the white butcher paper, and if it does not, it will not count for any points towards the student. That's first rule. Rule number 2, each cup that is pushed out of the white butcher paper is counted as 1 point. We're keeping it simple. The total points one can receive is 6 points. The next rule is the EV3 robot can start at anywhere in the butcher paper. So it doesn't matter where the starting point is at. So just compared to the EV3 maze, it had a starting point. This one doesn't have a starting point. You can start anywhere. Number 4, the EV3 robot cannot leave the white butcher paper. If it does leave the white butcher paper, your EV3 robot will be out of the challenge. So that's very important. So it just can't, just like in soccer, you can't go out of bounds, just like in basketball, the same thing. Lastly, this is the 5th rule. Once the EV3 robot begins a challenge, you cannot touch the robot again to continue another line of code. The EV3 robot must be coded in 1 line of code. So basically, once you press that button for the robot to start the code, it has to finish it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys my EV3 robot doing this challenge, so you guys all get an idea. how this looks like. And then as you can see here, I put 2 books there. The reason why I put 2 books there is so the robot could stay in place. You guys might be thinking, oh, he has 2 books there because he loves reading. No, it's just because I want the robot to stay in place there, and for it to like, because I started noticing that the butcher paper would like be kind of moving while the robot was moving. So if you guys want to do that, it's a great way to keep the butcher paper in place. So now I'm going to start up the robot. Takes a little bit of time. So what I've noticed with this challenge is it took me a little bit longer than the other one. This one took me about an hour. And once I coded it within that hour, I had to recode it a little bit. I had to do a little bit of edits because I was noticing sometimes it pushes out one of those cups. It didn't push out completely, so I had to recode it. So I'm hoping I recoded it right this time, because this one is a little bit harder and students might be frustrated with this challenge, but tell them not to give up because this one's real cool to do. And we're gonna try it. We're gonna see how many cups I push out. Okay, perfect. So that one, it did it perfectly. As you can see there, it pushed out all 6 cups. It was on one line of code. The robot never left the butcher paper, and it did it perfectly. Sometimes I notice like it does it like sometimes it will do it where it just pushes out 5 cups. So you will have to record it as I stated. I just don't want the kids to get frustrated. They might just have to go back and see where they need to do little tweaks. So yeah, so what we're going to be doing now is I'm going to be showing you all how to push out at least 3 cups. And then from there, you guys all should kind of get the concept from there. So I'm going to put the cups back in place. I'm going to put 3 cups. And if anyone does have any questions, please jump in and let me know. And then Brianne will actually help me out with the questions as well. We're going to do 3 cups. My placement is around right here. If you guys want to do it together with me, it would be great so you guys kind of understand how this works. So I'm going to put the robot right there, and we're going to be pushing out those 3 cups.
So Christian, should we take a moment for everyone to set up their robots and have maybe 1 or 2 people try out this code with the 3 cups, or do you want to do it after this demonstration?
Yeah, so if everyone can kind of take a moment to actually prepare 3 cups. So the area is already marked there. So as you can see there, that area, you're just placing a cup over it. And the 3 areas that I have right here are the ones next to here. And as I stated, your robot can do it anywhere on the map. I'm just doing this as an example for you guys can understand the concept of how to push out these 3 cups. So you can kind of show students how to do it when it comes to like the classroom setting. So yeah, it would be great to take a moment to actually get a butcher paper, get 3 cups, and put it in those 3 areas so we can all do it together. So you guys can see how this works. How about I give everyone like a minute or 2?
You guys can just have 1 volunteer. I know I can see Petro, you guys have a lot in the room. So go ahead and just pick 1 volunteer, 1 brave soul to just try this out. And then we can always switch it up because we will give time for you all to give it a try and learn this code.
Yes. Because this is actually the best way to, so, and if there is something that you guys are unsure of, then right here is like the perfect way of like hey, letting me know, like, hey, I kind of still don't get how to move the robot backwards, or I kind of don't understand the on for rotations or the on for seconds, and this is a way we can actually, do it together and go through it. I'm going to give you guys one more minute.
Hello? Yes. Okay.
30 seconds.
Okay.
And I'm going to start.
Let me send it to you, and then do they have?
All right, I'm going to be sharing my screen now, and then I'm going to try pushing out. As you could see there, I pushed out in my first line of code those first 2 cups at the same time. And this is only one way of doing it. This is just for an example purpose. You guys can do it however you want. You could have students do it however they want. This is just my own way. I'm pretty sure there's a faster way of doing this. And it really doesn't matter about the speed. It matters, I feel, like the concept of it. So, but let me share my screen and then we're going to go through this. So we're going to try to push those 2 cups, and then I'm going to share my screen. Oh, Brianne, can you put me co-host? I think I put you host on accident. For some reason, I didn't find the co-host. Thank you so much. Okay, so I could share my screen. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep, we can see it.
Yes.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so right now what we're going to do is we're going to start a new program. So I'm going to click on that plus sign where it says new program. And then I'm going to have to go back because I want to name my program. So I'm going to go back to the home screen. Remember, you have to do this so you can name your program. And then I'm going to be changing it. Wait up. For some reason it's not letting me. So I'm just going to rename this one. I'm going to rename it to Cup Challenge. So if you all can do that, just rename a file and then just call it Cup Challenge. And I'm going to click done. Then I'm going to click on the program itself. I'm going to delete this file. So how do you delete a code block? You just drag it and drop it here, and it deletes it. So now we're on this whole new coding page. So we're trying to do the beginning of the robot pushing those 2 cups. So how many rotations? So the mode selector that we're going to be using, before I start getting ahead of myself, the mode selector that we're going to be using is on for rotations. And as we all know, we want the robot to move forward in this case. And the block that you're going to be using for that is the move tank block. We know that the move tank block, what it does, it moves forward and backwards. So that's a code block that we're going to need to use in this case. And as you can see here, there's different mode selectors. The mode selector we're going to use is on for rotations. So I'm going to be clicking that. And then I'm going to be changing the speed. Last time for the maze run, I used 50-50. I'm going to do this a lot faster. I'm going to do 65. Students could do this with a faster setting, they could use 100, they could use 85, whatever the case may be. But for this example, I'm going to be using 65 on both speeds. Rotations. So what this number it states is 1 rotation. That means the tires will be rotating 1 time. In this case, I need the tires to be rotating more than that. So I'm going to be choosing 3 for right now. So 3 rotations. And I'm going to start from there for right now. I need to connect my EV3 robot because it's not connected. So where it has that brick with that blue X on it, I have to look for it. And it should come up. There it is. There's my name. Now I'm connecting it to Bluetooth. And it's connected. Okay, so now I'm going to go back. Actually, I'm not going to go back. I'm going to download this file. And then I'm going to show you what I have come up with. So I'm here. I did 3 rotations with the move tank lock. I did 3 rotations with the move tank lock, and this is what I came up with. So that was 3. So was that enough, or do we need more rotations for that? Just so I could play that again one more time. I felt like I didn't show you guys well enough. So I'm going to try this one more time.
Yeah, look.
So it wasn't enough rotations. Can someone kind of give me an answer of how many rotations it would need more for that? So we had 3 rotations. We had the move tank block. It would need more rotations. How many more rotations do you guys think that would need?
I think we check. Everybody's on, right?
If someone can jump in and kind of just give me. Anyone? So we got 3 rotations. Can someone jump in and kind of give me an estimate of how many more rotations we would need?
1 more?
Yeah, how many more rotations we would need? Because we had 3 rotations. And that's
I think maybe with 4. 4 total.
Okay. Thank you for jumping in and giving an answer. So we're gonna try 4 then. So I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna share my screen real quick. So I'm gonna change this to 4. So she said 4. So I'm gonna download the data. I'm going to go back to the Zoom app. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. And we did 4 rotations. Sorry guys, this setup of holding onto the iPad and putting the placement is kind of hard. And I'm trying to get used to it. Okay, so I'm gonna be clicking this. All right. So actually 4 is too much. So what would be a better number than 4? If someone can jump in.
Will 3.5 rotations be okay?
Yes, perfect. So 3.5 rotations, let's see what I came up with. Just so I could give you the answer. So it was 3.55 rotations. So thank you for jumping in and kind of giving your estimate. And that's how this challenge is going to be and how the other challenges are going to be. It's not you getting it the first time, you kind of seeing how you need to kind of work out the problem and work out this code for you to get that accurate answer, that precise answer. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to do 3.55. What we actually need to do, and that's the correct answer. And before I show you guys that, actually, let me show you how that looks like. And then after that, we'll move on. Give me a moment so you guys can see. So we're going to do 3.55 real quick. So 3.55, and then we're still using that exact same one, which is a Mutang. And then I'm going to go back to Zoom. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So as you can see there, 3.55 was good. I just kind of didn't put it precisely there, but it's a perfect code. So now that the robot is there, we need the robot to go backwards. So that's something that we're going to be learning. How many rotations do you think the robot will need to go backwards for it to kind of go to that cup? So it needs to go backwards first, and then it needs to turn. So I'm actually going to give you guys the answer to this. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be showing my screen, and I'm going to show you how the robot goes backwards. So, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to go to share my screen, because this is a new concept that we're about to learn. So for the robot to go backwards, you're going to be using the move tank block as well. So we're going to make sure that we have that mode selector on for rotations, which I do right here. I'm going to be changing the speed to 65, 65, because that's the speed that I want to keep utilizing. So 65, 65. And for the robot to move backwards, as you can see that third number, we're going to be changing it to negative. You could change it to -2. That means it will be going -2 rotations backwards. You could change it to -3. That means it will be turning -3 rotations backwards. In this case, I only did -1. So I'm going to be changing that to -1. And then I'm going to be downloading it. So now the robot will be able to go backwards. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Now we're going to see what this does. And then so as you can see, it went 1 rotation backwards. And all you had to do was change that third number into a negative number. And I kind of let you guys all know, I kind of let all the site coordinators know about that. But just in case we're kind of unsure about it, that's how you do it. So now that the robot is there, we need the robot to turn to the right. what code block will we be using for the robot to turn to the right? Someone could jump in and give me that answer. So there's a new code block that will need to be used for the robot to turn to the right.
The steering code block.
Thank you, Maggie. Yes, the move steering code block. So I'm going to be sharing my screen. And I'm going to be using the move steering block. So, as I stated before, with the move steering block, it's really like you kind of seeing what numbers you're going to be choosing, and then always remember to tweak that third number. So in this case, I used on for rotations because that's the mode selector we were using. And then the turn. As I stated before, it really depends on which number you choose in the beginning. So I choose 31 in this case. And if I choose one rotation, I'm going to show you what that does. So you guys kind of understand the concept of what number you're going to be having to change. So we're going to just go with 31. Actually, I'm going to be changing the speed of 65 as well. And then one rotation. So one rotation means one rotation of the tire turning as it's going 31 to the right. So we're going to download the data and see what that gives us. But as I stated, you could use any number that you want for the turn, but it will always be that third number that you'll be tweaking after. So that's what we got at one rotation. So for it to be more of a turn, what do you guys think it would need for that third number? The 31 we don't need to change. It's that third number that will need to be changed. I have the answer right here, but if someone can kind of give me a close estimate to that answer, or kind of give me an idea what they would think it would need. So for right now, that third number was one rotation. What do you guys think? Some brave soul could jump in and just, there's no right or wrong answer. I'm not gonna, it's okay. I just kind of want you guys to understand the concept and how this all works. Lisbeth, do you have an idea of what the answer could be?
No.
No? Okay, it's okay. How about Eric? I believe in you.
1.5.
1.5. Thank you, Eric. Okay. So that's actually very close to the answer. So I'm actually going to give you the answer because if not, it's going to take some time for us to get the accurate answer for this. So the actual answer is 1.42. So 1.42 would give you that perfect turn. So we're going to go back. We're going to change that third number, but very close, Eric. Thank you for participating. So I'm going to share my screen real quick, and then we're going to change that third number from that move steering block. So we're going to keep the 31 the same. We're going to keep the speed the same, 65. We're only going to change that third number, which is 1.42. That's the answer that I got. Because we just needed to turn a little bit more to the right, and the rotations help us with that. So, okay, and we're just going to be pushing out that third cup, and then from there, if anyone has any questions, please let me know. And from there, you guys could understand how this all works. So as you can see there, it's perfect and it's very aligned to that cup. As you can see there, it's aligned and it's going straight. Now what we need to do is just push out that third cup. So what code block will we be using to push out that third cup? If someone can jump in. And how many rotations do you think it would need for it to push out that third cup? And this is the last part of it, guys. I promise we're almost done. Let me see. Sam, if you have an idea which move tank block we'll be using. If you have an idea what block we will be using. Actually, I give you the answer to it.
Did you say Sam, Christian?
Yes, Sam.
Wait, Sal or Sam?
I think his name is Sam Obilis. I see his...
Move tank?
Yes, move tank. Thank you for jumping in, yeah. And I kind of gave you the answer. So how many rotations do you think it would take, Sam?
3.
3. All right, let's see what I got. So the correct answer is 3.5, but very close. Thank you. So we're actually gonna just do that. I'm gonna input 3.5. I'm giving you guys the answers. Well, when it comes to your students, you're gonna want them to try it on their own. But just for this training purpose, I'm giving you guys this answers for this training could flow. And for, if not, we'll be here for some time trying to figure out these exact answers. So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna share my screen and we're gonna add 3.5. And then we'll see how that looks like. Okay, now I'm here and I'm going to add a move tank block. I'm gonna do on for rotations. I'm gonna make sure the speed is 65 as well. Remember, the speeds always have to be the same. Not 5, 65, and then the rotations is 3.5, right? Yes, 3.5. Okay. Now I'm going to stop sharing my screen. All right, so this is the end. And then I'm just going to be going over 2 new blocks, but we're not really going to be utilizing them, but I just kind of want you guys to kind of see what it does and how they could be used in coding in this EV3 Robotics. And then I'll be done from there. So once they do it for on for rotations, they're going to have to do it with the other ones as well, which is on for degrees and on for seconds. All right. All right, perfect. So as you can see there, it pushed out all 3 cups. And that's basically it. That's all you will be doing for week 1 and week 2. If you haven't started this, then this is the time to start it. Remember, you're doing it with all 3 mode selectors, which is on for rotations, on for degrees, and on for seconds. If your students are having a hard time doing all 3, then they could just do 2. Does anyone have any questions regarding that before I move on to just the other 2 call blocks that I'm going to be talking about?
I have a question.
Yes, Eric.
So in another meeting, you did say there was multiple ways to get the robot to do the same thing with the move tank. With the on for degrees and on for rotations and on for seconds. what if a kid is a little bit I guess resistant or trying to just use on for seconds, if they're able to use that easier than on for rotations, can they use that?
So I understand what you're saying. So this student just wants to use on for seconds and doesn't want to use the other two mode selectors, right?
Yeah, because it's a little bit more challenging for them.
Okay, so if that is the case, as I stated, if they're having difficulty using the other two, then that's okay that they use just that one for right now. But I would want them to understand the other mode selectors as well, because they will be needed for when it comes to March and April. So just let them know, hey, you're gonna have to use for sure on for rotations and on for degrees is those two mode selectors I will be using more than on for seconds.
Okay.
I can also jump in on this one a little bit as well. So you guys are going to see that throughout. Thank you, Eric, for bringing that up, because that's a great point. Students, especially when it comes to anything that's related to outside their comfort zone, once they learn one thing, that's all they want to do. And as Christian stated, it's okay. It's okay that a student wants to stick with one mode to be used because that's what they're most comfortable with. A way to approach it too, when it comes to working with students who are uncomfortable in, using other modes or anything like that, is build up their confidence. That's the main thing that's lacking when it comes to this situation. And this could go with anything, any type of activity, and maybe do it with them. So a large part of this too is maybe you're doing the code with them for those other modes. So if they're only using on for seconds and you want to try the on for rotations, let that student know, hey, you know what? Let's do on for rotations together today. I don't know how to do it either. I'm still learning. So let's try it together and let's just try and input some random numbers. Let's see what happens. If they have someone next to them, guiding them and learning with them, it'll help build their confidence rather than, letting them know, hey, yeah, this is okay now, but you're going to have to switch, because that could also cause some anxiety. So that's a big part of it too, is do it with them, or have them do it with their siblings if their siblings are in the pod with them, because that'll help build confidence, letting them know that they're not learning this alone. And that's a big fear with a lot of students. If they're learning it alone, they feel like they're going to fail and they're going to get left out of the group. But if they're learning it with someone else who's at the same level as them, which you guys, can all state, I'm learning this just as long as you. So failing together does help build the confidence because they know they have someone else next to them. So give that a try as well when it comes to a student being uncomfortable with stepping out of their comfort zone and learning something new.
Yeah, great points. And thank you for bringing that up, Eric. I do remember students in my other after school program that were just comfortable using one mode selector. And I think the reason why is exactly what Brianne stated, is that they're just afraid of using the other two because they're afraid to fail, because they're so used to using that one mode selector that they're like, oh, I'm really good at this one, but the other ones I'm not so great, so I'm not going to use them anymore. That shouldn't be the case. They should try to not give up. And that's part of life, is if you are comfortable with something, you have to get into new realms, So I think that's another way of seeing it. But just have them, just tell them not to give up, and then just as Brianne stated, do it together. Find a way for them to get used to using the other ones as well, because it would be great for them to use the other ones. Does anyone else have any more questions before I move on? No? Okay, so I'm just gonna talk about two new code blocks, and then I'm gonna share my screen and then I'll talk about them so you guys could see what they do. And then something I also wanted to add was, so before I talk about those two new code blocks, is when you create a line of code, if I keep adding code blocks, I'm gonna show you what I mean. If I keep adding a bunch of code blocks, your code is going like this way, all the way to the right, and it's gonna be hard to kind of, I don't know, I feel like it's harder to keep doing it this way if I keep going like this. So there's a way where it could be all in one page. So how do you do that? So if I drag and drop these code blocks, so I'm going to drag them and drop them here. And as you can see, they're not lit up because that means they're not part of the code yet, but they will be part of the code right now. There's right here, there's like a little connector. Let me see if I could click. Oh, I'm going to have to get closer. So it says wire from here. So wire from here means to wire it to this one right here. So now, when you code, you can have it in one page. I just wired it to go to the next line of code, and now it's going to be all in one page, as you can see here. And I'm just doing this for an example. And if I could do wire from here again, then it's in one page now, and I don't have to go all the way through the other side. And I feel like this way it's a lot easier if you're using the connector. So I'm stating that because I feel this will be very helpful for students, especially if they're doing a long line of code, which in March and April, the codes will be a little bit longer. Right now, they're only very short because we're barely getting in the beginning stage of coding. I just wanted to bring that up. If anyone has any questions on how to do that, please let me know. And that's the connector. Okay, so one thing I wanted to bring up, I'm just deleting these codes right now, and you just drag them and drop them. Okay, so the sound block. What the sound block does, it's not something that's really important, but I like to use it as the end of my code. I think students will see this real cool. So if you click on the sound block, you could play a tone. So in the piano, there's certain keys that you could play. So C6, that's a middle key. It'll just play it in the end of the line of code. So B5, A5, whatever it is. And then you could play it at 100, which is a volume. And then how many seconds you wanted to play. If you wanted to play for 5 seconds for the end of the code. I think it's pretty neat to add that into the line of code as like, hey, it's the end of it. It's something that you guys could utilize. I just wanted to bring that up. I just don't want to go too deep into using hard codes, but these ones are really easy right now. So this one, and that's for the sound block, and I'm going to show you guys how that looks like in a bit, but let me present this one as well. And this one right here is called the wait block. So we are not going to use the other features of the wait block, just the time itself. So what this does is it waits for an amount of seconds. So right now I have it waiting for 2 seconds. What this is helpful is if you're trying to record a student and they play the code instantly, it becomes hard for you to record. What you could do is you can have it wait for 3 seconds before the robot actually starts the code. And then the end of it will be it playing the sound as the end of the code. So we're going to see how that looks like. And then I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I just added the sound block and the wait block. The wait block just waits how many seconds you want it to wait. And the sound block just plays a simple sound, and that could be anything from a key sound. And there's other things that you can add on there as well. I'm just using this for an example. So as you can see there, it's waiting for 3 seconds. So, and you could see that it played a little key tone. That's about it, guys. As you could see, you're also gonna have to use the other 2 mode selectors I already went over that in the month of January. If you're not sure about how to utilize those mode selectors, please let me know, and we can always do a Google Meets, and I could go over the other two as well.